What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, before we get into this video, just want to say that this episode is presented by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com or go to the PrizePicks app today and use the code BTJ for a $100 deposit match when you sign up. Now, guys, as we're recording this, it's been almost 24 hours since the Indianapolis Colts 2024 schedule has been released, and it's looking pretty good if I say so myself. There's a couple good things, a couple tough stretches here for the Indianapolis Colts, but we're going to break this down real quick. If you guys haven't seen my initial reaction to the schedule, be sure to go check out that live stream. It was a lot of fun. Loved chatting with all of you guys. But we're going to go ahead and break this down, talk about a few of these games in which they're going on. Cody, we won't spend too much time on each game, but we'll talk about if these games are highly anticipated, whether or not we think the Colts are going to win it or lose it. But let's go ahead and hop into it right away, man. Week 1, the NFL decided that the Colts season ended against the Houston Texans. Well, guess what? We get to start this season against the Houston Texans, this time in Lucas Oil Stadium. The Colts season ended in that building against this team, and now it's going to start against that team in this same building. It's going to be the Week 1 matchup, Cody. What's your initial thoughts of the Texans Week 1 for a home opener?
Oh, I love it. I mean, that's perfect, right? Like, that's the perfect storyline leading up to week number 1. Now, wish it was on primetime. That would be, like, perfect, but I can't hate the fact that Indy will start at home against the team, like you said, that, prevented them from reaching the playoffs and winning the division for the first time, in over a decade. So definitely will be interesting to see how the Colts handle it. And hey, it won't hurt either that Anthony Richardson will be playing in that game also. So a lot of freshness, a lot of newness with both of these squads. I mean, both these teams have added some pieces. And it's funny, there's been the last couple of years just so much history with these two teams stemming all the way back from the end of 2022. There's so much going on between the Colts and the Texans that happened in Lucas Oil Stadium. It's kind of crazy. So definitely love the fact that the Colts are going to start off and have a chance, honestly, to start their season off right. They have a chance to do it against a team that I would imagine the Colts have been waiting to play them and waiting because that just has to just sit with you for so long, man. That memory of what could have been, So I think the Colts are going to come out motivated. Obviously both these teams are, but this is a team that prevented you from doing a lot of things last year. So definitely will love to see how this game goes out. And obviously the return of AR will definitely make this even more hyped, and tempted myself to go to this game because it's that highly anticipated for sure. So love it, man. Start off strong.
All right. And then the Week 2 matchup, the Indianapolis Colts will be traveling to Green Bay, where Green Bay will actually be coming back from an international game Week 1 where they're going to be playing in Brazil. And so they're going to end up coming in and playing the Indianapolis Colts in their building. I like this opportunity here, Cody, honestly, because yeah, a lot of people probably chalk this one up as a loss, but again, these teams, everyone's always, struggling to put it all together early in the year, and it's got to be even harder for the Green Bay Packers, who again are going to be coming back from a 18-hour flight from Brazil back to Green Bay. So it's going to be a long week for them getting back, getting accustomed to things. I know they're not changing time zones and whatnot, but not that crazy. But nonetheless, it's still going to be a heck of a journey. And especially with it being early September in Green Bay, you're not going to have a lot of those crazy weather games like you would normally expect later in the year. So I think it's a favorable matchup for Indy.
Yeah, I'm just glad you don't have to go play in freezing degree temperatures and stuff like that. So, this is probably the best time to play Green Bay is early in the season at Lambeau. So, but yeah, Lambeau, obviously one of the best environments in all of the NFL. So it's going to be a tough game for Indy. But, with Green Bay, they did so many good things last year. But, how do they look this year? I think there still are questions about Green Bay. No doubt about that. And Jordan Love, well, he had a great year last year. He's still a young quarterback. He's still developing himself. So But yeah, Colts have a great opportunity, and typically they play Green Bay pretty well. So we'll see kind of how that works for them. But yeah, a great opportunity here for the Colts, but definitely two tough opponents to start the gate.
Absolutely. And then the Indianapolis Colts have 2 straight games, week 3 and week 4. They'll face the Chicago Bears, led by Caleb Williams. And then we'll have Steelers coming in to their building. The new Steelers with Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, we don't know which, coming in and facing Indianapolis there. Couple of interesting games there, Cody. Colts clearly the favorite against the Bears. Steelers, it's a toss-up. What do you think of the week 3, week 4 matchup?
Yeah, 2 very winnable games for Indy here, and I think they need to take full advantage. I mean, no doubt. They beat Pittsburgh last year pretty well, and with the Chicago, I mean, they were one of the worst teams in football last year. I know they added obviously Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze, but still, Chicago has a lot of issues. I mean, no doubt about that, Derek. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL last year. Even when Justin Fields was playing some superhero ball a little bit at certain points in the season, there's still a lack of talent there in Chicago, and proven talent at that. And so we'll definitely have to see how that works for Indianapolis. But I mean, the Colts have a chance to do something pretty well against, honestly, some quarterbacks that you feel like you have a pretty good advantage against them. Because at least right now, neither of those quarterbacks don't necessarily out the gate strike fear into the heart like a CJ Stroud or even Jordan Love would. So I think definitely 2 more manageable games here for Indy.
Absolutely. Well, and then it's one of the more anticipated matchups of the year. It's the dreaded game. It's the curse game. It's the game that every Colts fan dreads for the last decade facing this team. And it's against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. That's going to be the one, Cody. It's right there. You and I have made a deal over the last 3 years. And what is that deal when we play this team?
Never going to pick them.
Never going to pick them
when they're playing in Jacksonville.
Absolutely. So That's how we stand. Okay. So that's all we're going to talk about right now.
Please prove me wrong.
Please. For a decade. Folks, I was a junior in high school the last time that this team actually ended up beating Jacksonville on Jacksonville. Please, Lord in heaven, let me just enjoy myself. Actually, no, I was a sophomore in high school, which makes it even worse. Okay, so please, Colts, I'm begging you, beat this team in Jacksonville.
All right. I can't do it anymore.
I know it's such. I can already see the comment sections, bro. We're gonna have these videos, and we're gonna say this is all for nothing. We're not gonna. We're gonna be so down all week, and everyone's gonna be like, "Why are you guys like this?" And it's like, I mean, why aren't you like this? This is what a decade of losing to this team in this building is like. All right. So that's why we're like this.
Yep. I'm just so done. So done with it.
Yeah. All right. So week 6. Yeah. Week 6. You face the Titans for the first time. This one in Nashville. What do you think, Cody? You think the Colts are sweeping the Titans again this year?
It's hard for me to see them not at this point, Tennessee, they added some talent, but it really obviously will depend on Will Levis, right? Where is he at? And, I think Tennessee has a chance to be better, but yeah, I think the Colts I'm not super concerned with Tennessee, to be real with you. So I think the Colts have a good chance here in Nashville here to take care of business here in Tennessee. So yeah, I think that's a win for me.
All right. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with NBA, NHL, college basketball, other entries like that today on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Prize Picks even offers injury insurance so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. So, for example, for basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game and does not return in the second half of a game, that player projection won't count against you, and the rest of your entry stays alive. As you guys obviously know, NBA playoffs are going on right here, right now. Of course, I'm following the Pacers and the Knicks very, very closely. Be sure to download the app today and use code BTJ for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today and use code BTJ for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, it's sponsored by Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. And then the Indianapolis Colts, Cody, go on a little bit of a stretch of some tough games. You're going to face the Dolphins on October 20th, so that'll be your Week 7 game. Then you're going to go on the road to face Houston in Week 8. You'll face the Vikings Week 9. Then you'll face the Buffalo Bills at home Week 10. Then you're going on the road to face the New York Jets on Sunday Night Football. And then you're going to face the Lions at home right before Thanksgiving. And it's one of the last games before your bye week. Take me through all these games, man. I mean, how confident are you feeling in this stretch, man? Because that's definitely a tough stretch of games.
It is, but I think there's chance. I think every single game is winnable for Indy. Like, I think there is a path that you can clearly see for each and every one of these games where Indy has success. Like, I could see that. You know, obviously Miami, we know the weapons they have, but if they're able to affect Tua, I think they have a good chance in this game, you know, to potentially, you know, take care of business. And it does help that it is in Lucas Oil. That's definitely a good thing. If it's in Miami, that's a whole different story.
True.
But it is in Lucas Oil. That's good. I mean, the Colts have faced Houston and NRG for gosh, how many years? And, you know, it doesn't seem to really affect them that much. I mean, heck, they won in Houston last year. They dominated in Houston last year. So I know it's a different team, but the Colts have had some success against the Houston Texans in their building. You know, Minnesota, not too concerned there with the rookie quarterback or Sam Darnold. So, I mean, that's the definitely the weakest quarterback, you know, potential quarterback you're going to face in this stretch. And then Buffalo, yeah, okay, Josh Allen, but Derek, who the heck's Josh Allen throwing to at this point? I think that's a legitimate thing. I think the Colts have a chance to kind of make him be what we've seen Josh Allen be at times, a turnover machine type of guy. But there's a chance Josh Allen does what Josh Allen does. So I see the Colts potentially doing that. And then obviously we know what Buffalo did with basically their entire secondary being completely shipped off. So Buffalo definitely has trimmed a lot of, you know, talent off their roster from where it was even a year ago. So, yeah, you know, Josh Allen's always going to be a thing, but I think there's a clear chance there the Colts could take care of business against Buffalo. Again, another home game, which is definitely nice. I think there's a chance the Colts could do some stuff there. And then, you know, I just don't know with the Jets. Like, are the Jets going to be good this year? I don't know. Like, they're the biggest wild card for me this year because on one hand, Aaron Rodgers, we know how good he can be, but Derek, that dude's ancient. He's ancient. He's coming off a serious injury. And honestly, I don't think the Jets are that great of a team. Like, they have talent. They have guys like Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner. Like, they have legit talent. But I just don't know 1-53 if it's enough. You know, I just don't know if it is. And it could be. You know, it could be. Aaron Rodgers and these guys could really help this team. But there's a chance that it's not as great as maybe we're thinking. So I think that's a legitimate thing. And then, you know, Detroit is Detroit, you know, like they're a very talented team, but Derek, I mean, we've seen Detroit be susceptible. I mean, they don't have a great defense. So I think the Colts have a chance there to potentially have it be a shootout type of game. So, I mean, even though it is a brutal stretch, I do think Indianapolis, when you do kind of break it down a little bit, they do have a chance to potentially compete and even win a lot of these games. Now, will they? That's a different story. But all I'm saying is there's a path for them to potentially win every single one of these.
I will say that obviously, like you said, the Dolphins, they're a team that offensively is just a powerhouse. And that's one of those games where if you're worried about the secondary, this is one of those games that makes you go, oh my God, like this is going to be terrible for us. No question about it. But again, when you're facing Houston week 8, you're going to be in Houston. That one's going to be the tough one, man. But I'll tell you what, again, the last time Indy went to NRG Stadium, we took care of business down there. Now, obviously, this is a different team the Texans are now than what they were when we faced them at that time. But again, remember, that Houston team ain't great against the run. And Anthony Richardson was dicing them up, both throwing and running in that game before he went out with that concussion. So anything can happen. Like you said with the Vikings, that might be one of the worst quarterbacks that we're going to have to face all year. It's either J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold at that point. I ain't going to say much because the last time that we faced the Vikings at US Bank Stadium, we know what happened the last time.
Bruh.
So I ain't going to say a whole lot, but it's definitely definitely the easiest game in this stretch of 6 games that we're talking about. The Bills, as you said, the Bills, they're a mess right now. I'll be completely honest. You lost your best weapon. You lost your entire secondary for the most part. And, your team is trying to figure out its identity right now. Now, I will say, Josh Allen got a lot better last year at the end of the year because Joe Brady figured out the combination. And that is, if you're able to run the ball effectively, Josh Allen becomes a lot better because he doesn't have to do as much. And I think that's ultimately what makes the Bills a better team right now. So if the Colts are able to do that, they're able to stop the run, they'll be able to handle the Bills. The Jets, that'll be a tough one. I don't think a lot of people give the Jets credit for the team that they actually do have. Again, they were a solid quarterback away last year from actually legitimately being a playoff team. And they're a team that easily can compete for a playoff spot this year. If Aaron Rodgers stays healthy the whole year, they will 100% be in the conversation for a playoff spot this next year. So that will be a tough game. And especially being on Sunday Night Football, we're not going to get that one at home, unfortunately. And I mean, what else can you say about the Lions, right? They were a top 5 team last year. Fully expect them to be a top 5 team this year. They're coached well. They got a great roster. So that will definitely be the case. But you're right. That's a tough stretch of games, Cody. We'll figure it out. But also want to talk about the last stretch of games here, the last 6 weeks for the Indianapolis Colts. Been a lot more favorable for them than what it would be in other years. So your first game in December, you will face New England in Foxborough once again. Then you have your bye week, week 14. I will ask you first before we go even further in the stretch. What's your feelings on the week 14 bye? I want to hear that.
I'm okay with it because, I mean, I think, a lot of people are upset it's so late, but I guess for me, it's kind of like, I mean, you're going to have kind of the play. Hopefully you're going to be in contention for, the division and, even to a lesser degree, wild card spot, but like you're going to need your guys healthy. So I'm okay with it being a little bit later because, you're going to have that moment, that opportunity, before you hit it up the final 4 weeks to really hopefully get some guys back and hopefully get some guys well rested up, for that playoff push potentially. So I'm honestly okay with it, probably more than other people are, because I'm totally fine with, kind of figuring it out. And I'd rather have it, a little bit later on in the season than earlier. That's kind of how I prefer it, because I'd rather have my guys more well rested, later on in the season than earlier in the season, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
that's how I feel about it.
I don't love that it's week 14, but I'm in the same category as you. I would much rather it be a late buy than an early buy. I was looking at the schedule earlier yesterday, and I was thinking to myself, please, Lord in heaven, do not make this a week 6 buy. Please do not make this a week 6 buy. I'm begging you. Because, again, it's just like anything else. If you have a long, grueling season, you don't want your 1 week where you get to rest up and you get to, get that extra week to prepare and that extra week to get your body right. You don't want that to be early in the season when most of your guys' bodies have not worn down throughout the season yet. So, yes, week 14 is very long. There's only going to end up being 4 more games after that bye, and I totally get it. But at the same time, it's always better to have it at the end of the year when you're going to have a lot more guys banged up later in the season. And it's just better to have that extra week's rest later in the season to take care of it. But anyways, going back to the schedule now, you're going to face Denver in Mile High City once again. Then you're going to face the Titans back at home. And then you're going to go to the Giants, face them right before New Year's. And then you're going to face the Jaguars to finish off your season at home once again. Couple of interesting games here, Cody. What really sucks is Indianapolis is going to have 3 games in an outdoor stadium in very cold weather, which is definitely going to be interesting to see how the Indianapolis Colts handle it. Like I say, you're gonna go to New England, you're gonna go to Denver, you're gonna go to New York. I mean, you're gonna be in some bad weather this last month, but you're gonna be facing opponents who, are looked down upon right now. So this last bit of the schedule is a lot more favorable for Indy than what you would have seen the last 6 weeks prior.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, this is the easiest stretch. I mean, let's be real. Weeks 13 to 18. I mean, there's only really one game where I honestly think, Derek, the Colts will be not favored, and that's the Week 18 game against Jacksonville. I mean, again, of course, if the Colts all of a sudden are, competing for the division and Jacksonville takes a step back, that's a different story. But I'm talking right now, that's probably the only game you look at and you say, yeah, Indy is probably not going to be favored, at least early on in that game. And we'll see how the season goes on. But yeah, I mean, no doubt that for Indy, this is a very, very doable stretch for them. Like you mentioned, there's going to be some definite interesting games outside, and we'll see kind of how Indy handles it. I'm always concerned to go to New England just because of, that's just the type of an environment that's tough to win in, even if, New England's not the greatest team. We saw what they did last year. I mean, they have a legit defense, so they still have, some talent on that team. And so we'll see on that. Denver as well, a lot of rookie quarterbacks and young quarterbacks the Colts are going to be playing here. But I do think they have the opportunity here to, I think they have the opportunity legitimately to win 4 or 5 games. I really do think potentially go 6 games. But I think between the 4 and 6 range, I think legitimately the Colts have a chance to do that.
Absolutely. I didn't get a chance to ask you your record of this schedule. I said 10-7 yesterday. What do you gather just right away?
Yeah. I would say 11-6 is what I'm going to go.
Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Again, the Indianapolis Colts, they find themselves in a spot where they can make some good things happen this year if things start falling in place. Let us know your thoughts on the schedule for the Indianapolis Colts. What's your record that you have for them going into 2024? But that'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, guys, go Colts.